All right, so let's take a look at the application here for the fingerboard, the Fretprints app. So I'm just going to take you through some of the options on it so you can get acquainted with it. So we're starting out here with the chromatic tones and extensions. That's where it defaults to. And so it also defaults to C, so all these green dots are C notes on the guitar neck. So then the root note here is C, and you can select really any note that you want. And so you can find out all the patterns associated with that particular group of notes. So this would be a C7 chord, for example. You can also, let's see, clear out the notes there with that. But you could also, take a look at a D major triad here, let's say, for example. And so then you have your kind of upper structure triads. And you can see how that kind of relates to the C note. So the chromatic tones and extensions, you can use any notes, all 12 notes. And then if you get into some situations where maybe you want to name something a sharp 5 rather than a flat 13 or a flat 6, then you have that option. So notice that it's the same note, that would be A flat. And that corresponds over here to this A flat. So they all kind of work out like that. So let's say you do select something like we did earlier, and you want to set it up so it's let's say a B flat 7. Then you just select the note that you want. Okay, so F, G, right? And then you can play around with, making scales out of it. Doing anything you want. So that's the chromatic tones and extensions. And you could fill up all of the notes if you like. Single tones and extensions, that's going to allow you to set something and just kind of, for your convenience, just see how each one lands up. So once you select one, it will kind of erase the previous one that you selected. Right, so if you really want to study the flat 7 or the 3rd or whatever it is, then you can choose that. So those are the two main options there at the top. And again, it defaults to the chromatic. We also have some presets which start from 3 notes. So here you have an augmented triad, for example. So what's interesting here is that you can build an augmented triad starting from any one of the chromatic notes. So you select the major 7, and you'll see that it builds an augmented triad from the major 7. And then we have this little arrow that points to the note that you selected. Okay, so you can do that with other triad types, minor triads. So let's say you want to get an idea for the maybe minor 4. Then you build a triad from the 4. Or if you're thinking about this, if you're trying to play a triad against G in this case, and you're playing a C minor triad, then you could see how it relates to the G. All right, so then we have 3 notes. We have the diminished, major. So again, you can build those all from anywhere. Okay, and then we get into 4-note arpeggios, essentially, or you could build chords out of these. So there's a 7th chord. And then let's go back to C. So if you are working with a C, C7 here, or if you want to just kind of see how maybe the 5 chord looks against a C, right? then you can build it from the 5th or build it from wherever you want. Okay, so it builds the 7th chord from wherever you select. Okay, and again, you can move it around to different root notes. Another thing that you can do is kind of select notes if you're working on a certain area or something and you just want to get an idea, focus in on something. Okay, so we have a few options: minor, major 7, minor 6 chords, or arpeggios. Okay, and then when we get to this side, we're looking at pentatonic scales. So you can build a pentatonic scale from anywhere you like. Now, if you're not super accustomed to your scales and all that, you might just try everything from the root just to get kind of situated. But you can build the pentatonic scale from any of the 12 notes and relate it back to the root note. That's major pentatonic, minor pentatonic. Again, you can move these to different notes. So quite a few different pentatonic scales. These first 3 are probably ones that you want to focus on mostly. And then we have some scales. So we have the half step minor third, half step minor third. 6-note scale. We have the whole tone scale, another 6-note scale, whole steps apart. Okay. The blues scale. Now this particular scale, you generally just relate it to the root, but it does have the option to move it around. Okay, and then we get to 7-note scales. So 5-note scales, pentatonic scales, 6-note scales, and then 7-note scales with major scales. And so you can also move these around. So this might be a little bit in reverse to what you're normally thinking, but you'll arrive at the same thing. So if I were to build a major scale, let's say from the 11th, then you can see I've got mixolydian. So the 11 in this case, let's go back to C, just keep this simple. So the 11 in this case would be F, so it's an F major scale spelled out relative to C. So then you end up with the C mixolydian. All right, so then you can just move it all around. Melodic minor. So once you select one of these presets, you're going to want to select the root note or one of the other notes. So melodic minor, harmonic minor, and again, all of these have the same functionality, so you can move that around. And octatonic scales, 8-note scales. All right, so that's the idea. So if you select the chromatic tones and extensions, then you're working with it, kind of just going free with it. You can turn it on and off, whatever note. Select as many notes as you want. You can change the root note. Right, and then single tones and extensions, that'll be useful for setting individual ones and how they relate to the root note. All right, so so this is released on the website, so be sure to check it out. So hope you enjoyed this video. So if you have already subscribed and are using the app, then I hope this video kind of helps you out. If you have any other questions, just feel free to send me an email, and I will help you out with it. Can even meet online and just kind of talk it over with screen sharing, just to get acquainted. And if you haven't subscribed, then definitely think about it, or send me an email, and I'll give you. I'll kind of show you how it works again on video or video conferencing. Try that out. Well, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy this video.